And this is your election headquarters. Your election headquarters is what you have Petrosol. Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Now, let's dive into other political issues and what could be seen as a morale booster for the opposition NDC and John Mahama. United Kingdom-based research and data firm Fitch Solution is predicting electoral victory for John Mahama in the December 7 presidential election. Fitch, in its latest publication on election and race-related issues in Africa, says the current state of the economy will play a significant role in the choice of voters in December. In a webinar to announce the outcome of the latest research, senior sub-Saharan African country risk analyst Mike Kuringa says their findings put the NDC's candidate ahead of Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who is also the NPP's flag bearer.
As you can see, overall, we expect policy continuity to prevail in the region, with most incumbents winning and retaining their majorities. That said, however, we do forecast important changes in key markets such as South Africa and Ghana. In Ghana, likewise, we believe anger over living standards is giving opposition candidate John Mahama a lead in the polls. This marks a shift away from the incumbent's preferred successor, that being current Vice President Bawumia. So again, overall, although we do expect policy continuity to prevail, some important changes will occur, and we'll be monitoring these closely.
So the question is, what are the factors working against the NPP? Here again is Mike Kuringa.
So while the Ghanaian government has confirmed its commitment to implementing fiscal reforms in the 2024 budget, we anticipate significant public expenditure overruns ahead of the December election, particularly given that the ruling New Patriotic Party, or the NPP, trails behind in the polls. So since the start of the century, so since the year 2000, public expenditure as a share of GDP increased by an average of 3 percentage points during election years, as you can see on the left-hand side chart. And I think this really reflects the government's tendency to, for example, subsidize utilities or implement social welfare programs, really to garner public support in the run-up to general elections. So while these expected expenditure overruns will lead to a widening of the budget deficit in 2024, it will also support households financially, so driving up domestic demand that way and also supporting headline economic growth. So in terms of the other part of your question on who is most likely to win the December vote, our core view remains that the opposition National Democratic Congress, or the NDC, is best placed to secure a victory. So looking at polling data, it appears that the economy and economic management will take center stage for voters during the election, which will inevitably give the opposition NDC an advantage because the recent economic downturn happened under NPP leadership. In addition to that, recent polls around voting intentions give John Mahama, the leader of the NDC, a favorable lead, as you can see on the right-hand side chart here. So further supporting our view that an NDC victory is most likely in December.
We do see security risks increasing, as I say, specifically concentrated in the Western Sahel, specifically the countries of Mali and Burkina Faso. So as a little bit of context, over the past 10 years, these Sahelian countries have become really the global flashpoint for Islamic insurgencies, and this presents clear risks for neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, Benin. Now, we believe these risks will be compounded by the removal of UN peacekeeping forces from Mali in 2024, which is likely to create a power vacuum in the region, which we believe militant groups are likely to compete for and fill, creating clear spillover effects and negatively impacting some of the region's fastest growing countries, like, for example, Cote d'Ivoire or Ghana. So overall, we believe that West Africa will be an important monitoring point for security risks in 2024.
So the latest opinion poll by Global Info Analytics for the 2024 election placed John Mahama in the lead with 53.2%, whilst Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is around 29.6%. Let's analyze this. And joining us via Zoom, the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Mussa Dankwah. Mr. Dankwah, you're welcome to the polls. If you can unmute for me. Right. So, Mr. Dankwah, if you can unmute for me.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
So again, let me just put on record that the Fitch Solutions latest report that they had a webinar on it last night credits you for some of the work that they put out there. That your work is part of what they put together. That they came to the conclusion that the NDC candidate, as we speak, is likely to win the 2024 election. But let me ask you, what would you say is working for the NDC ahead of the December elections?
There are two things mainly that is driving John Mohammed's lead in the poll. And as Fitch mentioned, the economy. Those who said economy is the number one issue for them, 54% of them are voting for John Mohammed, and 26% are voting for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 8% for Alan Trebati, and 12% are thinking of voting someone else. And then on the issue of jobs, which are the number two, or in fact, that's the one issue in Ghana now. Those who said jobs are key for them. 53% of them are voting for John Mahama, compared with 26% for Bawumia and 9% for Alan Trebati. 13% said someone else. So these are the two reasons that makes John Mahama the favorite to win the 2024 elections.
Right. So let's reverse a little on the economy. The conclusion of Fitch is that the government is likely to do a lot of things that may have impact on the economy. They claim that the government may look at electricity subsidy, the thing that things may begin to normalize. Already we are seeing inflation come down, and the exchange rate has also stabilized. So there's been some kind of a revived hope in the output of the economy. And their conclusion is that it may significantly improve from now to December 24. Would that have any bearing on the outcome?
Not fundamentally. If you look at voters who we spoke to last time, almost 70% of them said they made up their mind. 70%, and that's quite huge. Leaving about 16% said yes, they may change their mind, and another 14% saying that they are neutral about changing their mind. So if we have a situation where people who are going to vote are entrenched on their choices, it makes it really, really hard for them to take into account things that are improving along the line. But certainly there are those who will be swayed by changing economic conditions.
So did your research focus mainly on floating voters, or these are people who in previous elections have voted for both parties?
No, in fact, we don't focus on floating voters, we focus on Ghanaians.
I only ask because, you know, the NPP and the NDC, they are all laying claim to 5 million voters. And they say that no matter what, no matter how bad they do, they will maintain their 5 million. Now, how they are able to move to the 50+1 depends on floating voters. That's why I asked that question.
Okay. All right. Let me put this into context. If you take party affiliation into account, 68% of voters who are NPP intend to vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. 68%. You have another about maybe 18% who want to vote for Mahama, who are NPP. And about 12% who are NPP are voting for Alan Chiramati.
Why?
So NPP has lost its core base.
And what is accounting for this?
Economy, jobs. It's the same issues, economy and the job issues. The same issues. And then when you look at floating voters, Mahama is leading 53% among floating voters. Bawumia is around 21% or so, and Alan around 18%. So the key block here, which is the floating voters, Mahama is having a very good lead. And among those who are NDC, Mahama is attracting 95% of NDC. But
can anything change from now to December? Or does your research say that Mahama can go home, sleep, and hoping to wake up in 2025 as the elected president?
No, anything can change in election. But what moves election at the moment will be the economic condition of people and the living standard of people. If the standard of living improves significantly, you may see tightening in the poll numbers, but will not be enough to overturn what we are seeing in the poll. They will close the gap, but very difficult for them to win at the moment.
What about the Alan Chiramati factor in the elections?
It is very important that Alan Chiramati factor is really hurting NPP rather than the NDC. Because if you look at NDC is winning 95% of its base, whereas NPP at the moment is winning 68%. A chunk of them are voting for Alan, and another chunk are voting for NDC. Now, for Alan to really make an impact, he needs to make inroads, not just in NPP, but also from NDC and also the floating voters. At the moment, he's yet to do that.
The NPP is going into to elect their parliamentary candidates in places that they're already holding on to the seat. So you are safe to say that these are safe seats that they are contested. Will the outcome have any effects on how the party galvanizes its base ahead of election? Because some people have said that the 2024 election will be won in parliament. Whoever is able to win more seats is likely to form the next government. Well, what will happen over the weekend have any impact on how the party positions have ahead of 2024, depending on people they elect?
Yes, in fact, we do have some initial numbers about voting intention for parliamentary seats.
Okay. And
at the moment, they are behind by almost 20-something percentage point. Now, if they go and elect people who are not popular, come tomorrow, that would exacerbate their situation in the polls. But if they're able to remove some of those unpopular guys from their constituencies, that would help them galvanize their base a bit.
All right. Mussa Dankwah, thank you very much. And I know that we'll be talking more on these matters in the months and weeks to follow, because we have a lot more politics to do in this year of 2024.